Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the PNP podcast. With me right now, it's not Len. It's not Will. It is somebody very near and dear to my heart. He is a thinker, an intelligent worker. He is an empanada connoisseur. Just a bunch of positive things rolled in one. But most importantly, I get to call him family. So, without any further ado, Mr. Dan the Man, what's going on, sir?
What's up, man? That was the greatest intro. And I used to run a podcast, man. That was very well done. You got me all hyped up. I could talk about anything right now, bro.
Nice. Appreciate that. I'm trying, man. I'm trying to, be the part, play the part, be the part.
Man, you got me all hyped up over here. It's different being in this seat because usually I'm the one doing the interviews. So it's just fun, man. I like this shit. Plus, it's like everything's virtual now. So any way I can stay in touch with family is great, man. Any excuse to get on the horn with you guys, man.
I'm realizing the benefits of Zoom, and I'm trying to take advantage of it now.
It's crazy. Yeah. The internet is insane. And what a time that we have that. Could you imagine if we didn't? Oh my God, people be losing their minds right now. Actually, I think people are probably losing their minds because of the internet. But
I mean, we were saying this 20 years ago with like the new PlayStation. That was like,
yeah, right.
Technology. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And now people just reach out to each other.
This is going to come full circle, by the way, because one of the things that I want to talk about has to do with the boom in technology.
All right, cool. All right.
This is going to come full circle.
We're gonna navigate to the circle. But I know first we've been wanting to talk about this for a long time. This is a long podcast coming. So I know we were talking about the fact that coronavirus, it came, it leveled, it just leveled everything. In that chaos, we've had mutant killer hornets from Japan, straight kamikaze over here. We've had unfortunate protests due to, police brutality.
Race. There's still 2020. There's still bro. I didn't know that there's that many racist people out there.
It kind of goes to what we were talking about with the technology. You have to now put your best foot forward. Because even racist motherfuckers, they're just not blatantly, unless you are a full-fledged down south member.
I don't know, man. The thing is too, is with the internet, I think it just gave everyone a megaphone. So like the thing is, before I didn't realize, I was very ignorant though, and in my bubble. So when I see all these things, I'm like, wait, someone did what? Because I'm also, just so everyone has the background of me, I'm not on social media. I don't have cable TV. So all the news that comes to me, there's two things that are happening that this is like pretty cool. One is I get to process information without someone else's agenda. And I mean is like, I don't know if you put video on when you edit it and like put it on YouTube. I don't know if it's just audio or you're going to start putting video, because I might start using my hands. I want to make sure people are seeing me or not.
Go handsy. All
right, cool. Handy. So yeah, like on this, right? When I'm on my phone and I'm looking through news, I'm usually not getting news delivered to me organically or like non-biased. I'm always getting someone's opinion because someone's posting something that now I'm reading. So I'm also seeing the news, but then I'm reading the caption and it's their opinion on it, right? So without being on social media, I'm getting the news to me and I'm processing it in a way where I'm actually just thinking about how I feel about it in that knee-jerk response to information.
Yeah.
But also, holy shit, man. People have to get a license to drive. We need a license on the internet because there's too many people that you can just say some dumb, ignorant shit and then put it out there. And then what's happening is other dumb, ignorant people are attaching to that thing. And they're like, wait, I'm not crazy because this other person thinks the same thing as me. And just because a bunch of people think the same crazy thought doesn't mean it's sane, right?
That goes into, and I've said this on a previous podcast, that goes into where I'm coming from, and we're coming from the same place. It's that even with technology being what it is, we should be advancing as a civilization because of the rapid technology that's just hitting us at the clip it is. Like, it's just, every day is just something, holy shit, and then now that's obsolete, holy shit, and then when we just do that. But with that technology, technology is knowledge, knowledge is power. We are just misusing. We are supposed to be moving up as a society, and we're going into that movie Idiocracy.
Yeah.
And it's based on
not for nothing. Like, I'm not on social media, but I'm not one of these people that thinks I don't think social media is the devil. I don't think the internet is bad. I think there's a lot of things that the internet has improved in an amazing way. Right? There's some things that we've done, but you're right, man. There's like little things that people, it's just like, bro, I was saying it to someone literally yesterday. I was like, I think that spell check is making me fucking retarded. I can't spell anymore.
Yeah.
I've never had a problem spelling.
Yeah.
But it's because I just always like, and then you see when people send things that they're using the wrong. I'm not like, I'm not like a grammar police, but like see, yeah, bro, the wrong there, the wrong your, the wrong weird, the difference between lose and loose. It's like, but it's just because you don't need to. Your phone will correct it for you. So I've never had a problem spelling ever in my life until now, where I'm just like, if I had to write down a word and I didn't have the spell check there, like, what the fuck? And that's just like a silly example, but I just think like, yeah, there's a lot of things that we're going backwards on. And sometimes it feels like the people that are going backwards are the majority. So they feel right? Like, people that shouldn't have a voice on the internet feel like they might be right. Like, a good example is, we can go back to the racist thing, right? Like, there's a lot of members of KKK. I'm sure they think they're in the right. And because they can find a group that has shares the same fucked up view, it can kind of twist your head into thinking, like, oh, all these guys think the same thing, we must be right.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, I can't be wrong because this guy and this guy and this guy's my friend and this guy's my friend. We all share the same thought. Like, no, you could still be an idiot. You could be in a room full of idiots that think the same idiot idea.
That's as perfectly put as I've heard. It goes into the, God, I remember that show Dexter.
Oh, like the recent one, when you say Dexter, because I'm a nerd, I'm thinking the cartoon. But yes, I know Dexter.
Dexter, like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, Dexter.
He had it was Most Def, and they were talking back and forth about religious shit and what makes a bad person a bad person. Most Def was like some preachy guy, and he just goes, look, going to what you said, even extremist, if he thinks he's right, is doing it for what they think is a right cause.
Yeah.
It goes to that. That's why I never ever put stock in groups. I'll put my egg in the individual basket.
Yeah.
People on an individual basis, more or less, are self-proven. I think that's spot on, man. I think also the people that do a lot of the great things usually don't associate themselves with groups. If you think about anyone in the history of everness of the universe, anyone that's ever done something great, like, take a name that everyone fucking knows, Michael Jordan, right? And everyone looks at Michael Jordan. He's still a pretty stand-up dude. Like, didn't really get into too much trouble in his career. Seems like a really smart guy, amazing basketball player, best of all time, arguably, right? And bro, when he was a kid, he was probably a fucking. I watched the documentary on Netflix on him and the Bulls, and I forgot what it's called. Last Dance,
and like, they all said he was kind of weird. There was the one thing where they were all partying, and he was like, "No, I'm here to play basketball." And I'm sure Michael Jordan, as a kid, didn't have many friends. He probably just played basketball all day long. Like, that's how you get that good at something.
Yeah.
Right. So like, take anyone that's ever done anything great, and usually they were like outcast. They were like, when they were doing what they were doing, they were probably weird or different or lonely or whatever. And then that person is doing something amazing where everyone else that follows that group mentality just does what everyone else kind of fucking does, right? Like,
yeah. They
right?
become
It's that
part
there's a
of the
reason.
group.
Yeah, it's like
It ends up being, I believe, I love Jordan Peterson. So I was listening to a
same.
couple
By the
things.
way, he's a big
Love,
fan.
oh
He's
man,
very
he's the man.
smart. Yeah.
Yes, yes, very intelligent. And he goes into tribalism. And there's a problem when the group outweighs the individual, because it should be the individual means more than the group. It's a collection of individuals. But when the mob mentality of that tribalism, of that the group mentality now takes over what I feel as a person, as an individual, that's when things go wrong, man. And I mean, I guess to take it full circle, with the technology, people are idiots and they'll cling on to other idiotic ideologies. And off of that, like you said, how can I be wrong if somebody else is agreeing with me?
Yeah, it's the same way that everyone does any sort of Google research. It's right. It's okay. For instance, how on the scale of PG to R rated is this podcast?
Just don't whip anything out and make it an
No,
an X-rated
no,
video.
that's
We're
why I said
good.
R. No, we're good. So like, all right, I smoke weed, right? Like, cool, right? A lot of people do it now. If I wanted to have a conversation with someone that didn't smoke weed, I cannot start the conversation by Googling benefits of weed and then just spew that out, right? Because all I'm doing is already I'm going to find the post that is already going to prove the point that I'm trying to make. And I'm starting my argument there. That's the same thing that people do when they cling on to a group. It's I don't need to listen to a single word of advice you say until I hear the thing I want to hear, and then I'm going to grab onto that, and I'm going to stay with that. As a personal trainer, bro, it happens all the time when I work with someone with their diet. Hey, am I allowed to have cheese? Yes, you're allowed to have cheese. And then the next day, when a lot of the athletes I coach are in weight class sports, so they have to keep a weight to weigh in to compete. I'm checking their weight and they're overweight 5 pounds. And they said, well, I ate 3 grilled cheese sandwiches yesterday. You said I could have cheese. And it's like, that's not what I fucking said though.
Yeah.
People will listen and try to find the one thing that makes them right or makes them feel better about the opinion that they have. And whether that be a Google search that's already pointed towards you want to be good at arguing. Google the opposite point that you're trying to make. I should be Googling why weed is horrible for me. And then try to debunk those things instead of like,
nobody takes the time to do the research.
No,
again, it goes back to our days, and I've said it before, when you had to find an answer, there was no bullshitting around because you had to go find the answer.
Yeah.
Now we live in a society that, again, it's all stuff I've said before. You literally don't even have to text the question. You hit a button and you could just talk.
Yeah.
And it'll give you a list of whatever, and then you go look. But a lot of people, that's where the research ends. They won't delve into what they're trying to find. Oh, that's the most popular opinion. And going back to the individual versus group thing, you could meet somebody and have a decent conversation with a non-smoker about smoking, the benefits, and they can give you their opinion, but let that person get together with a bunch of non-smokers that are more rude and not looking to have a discussion about it. And
uneducated. I would say uneducated, right? Like that's kind of what you're describing. Someone that's uneducated or doesn't. The internet didn't come with a blueprint on how to use it, and I think that's if we could redo anything, if we could time travel, someone would need to put that playbook out there because a lot of people just don't understand how to use the internet as a tool, and they're using it in all the wrong ways, and they don't even see it.
It's all part of the. I don't want to be a conspiracy guy, but in some ways, it's a controlling method. You can find, like you said, the internet should have been a staple of these generations. Like, it should have been marvel at what we just did. But now it's Facebook said Trump is a KKK member that's an alien sleeping around with, and people are like, look, I knew it.
I knew it. Yeah, exactly. It just takes that one for people just to be like, it's insane. It's insane. What a time to be alive. And we saw the internet. I mean, I think like probably from my age to your age. I would say any older, they weren't, I mean, like much older, like decades older or decades younger in that age bracket from like me to you. We saw the internet be developed and then turn into something completely different than it was. Like kids today, like they'll see, like I have my younger siblings, and the internet to them is like, it was crazy. Like a perfect example is my kid sister didn't know how to use the trackpad on a laptop because everything was touchscreen to her. She was like, what is this? Even the first time I gave her a mouse to move around, they just, you'll see it all the time. Kids will touch every screen, the younger too, because they just think that everything is like that. Everything's a touchscreen. We saw the internet start from where it was and turn into something completely different. And like, we just kind of went for the ride. Like at this point, there's no stopping this thing. It's just a machine.
I remember when we would visit you in Bushkill, and I thought it was Technology Central. It's like being in the Matrix because you had one computer there.
Yeah, in the basement, right? Yeah.
And we would, and the go-to computer game was the NFL game that it told you what the play did.
Yeah, like
you didn't. Right? You're a guy. You weren't juking. You weren't doing the spin move. There was no pump fake.
You gained 7 yards.
Power to the right. You hit the button, and it's like, you called hike.
Yeah.
You fumbled at the 2. Like, what?
I remember the whole lot of us, bro. Like 8 people in that basement hunkered around that PC playing Tanks, Scorched Earth. Bro.
Oh, my God.
That was it. That was the MMO before MMOs. That was multiplayer before it was a thing. It was all of us sitting down playing Tanks, lining up the perfect shot, and that was dope to us. That was it.
When you said that, I completely forgot that we rocked out in that game. The second you said that, the first thing to come to my mind is when they start the board and they line everybody up, and you're playing somebody, and this person goes first, and they're lined up right next to you, so like, I'm going to the bathroom.
Yeah,
like, I'm
it's
gonna
literally, you're like, yeah, you're gone.
Wow, scorched earth. Jesus.
Yeah, it's crazy how now it's like it's in some ways it's amazing, and in other ways it's not. And I think, like I said, this whole learning experience of like really detaching myself from social media and from like a lot of just news. I didn't realize how much news was being yelled at me as opposed to like presented to me. Man. Every time I would watch any sort of news outlet that's, and I'm not going to name names because it's never news. This happened and this is objectively what happened. It's this happened and it's a spin on how we feel about it politically or the station's stance on whatever it is. And on the phone, it's no better, man. It's people, something happens and people have a way to feel about it. And then you feel a certain way if you don't agree with them, and you don't really have time to digest information like organically. Like someone just be like, hey, this just happened. How do you feel about it? It's like, this just happened. And if you don't fucking block this person, you're just as bad as them. Or this just happened. And like, this is how I feel about it. It's crazy, man, because now it's way different. And I didn't even realize how different it was until I took a step away from that. Now it's like, I'll get information and it's like, I think about it and I'm like, all right, this is how I feel about it. And I think I'm a pretty smart guy. I'm not the brightest, but like, I know what I don't know. And this seems like it's this way or whatever way. And then you talk to people, oh, that's an interesting way to think about it. And it's like, really, is it? Because that's just how I thought about it without anyone shoving their fucking agenda down my throat.
Well, that's pretty much what it is. I'm on social media, but I pop my head in.
Yeah. No, I was using it for a lot of the wrong reasons. I shouldn't be on it. I was not using it for the right reasons. And that's what I was saying. Like, I don't think it's bad for everyone. I think it's a good way to stay in touch. There's a lot of things that I miss because I'm not on social media, a lot of things with family, just a lot of things because people forget. Because like, I'm in a very small demographic of people that really aren't online at all anymore. And I used to be online a lot of places. I had Instagram and this and that, my own podcast, and and I took 18 steps back away from that, and it's been weird, man. And one of those things that caught my attention was the whole reason we even wanted to do this podcast, right? So like, well, I guess we'll talk about that, but it's good that we came here first, because you start to see things and you're like, wait, what the fuck? Was this shit here all the time?
Yeah.
Like was this always here and I just didn't realize it? Was this, were these things like trending around me or whatever? And then you're fucked. Now you feel like me, and you're like, Pandora's box is open.
Well, when you're in the flow, you're just in the flow. When somebody like yourself takes a step out and you get off that current and you just kind of take a step back, when you finally either look at the current going by going, what the fuck is going by?
Mm-hmm.
Or you, like I do, I dip my head, like I'll put my head back in the current just to see what's going on.
Whoa.
And I'm just like, what the fuck? I can't, like, it's just, a lot of it is too much. Yeah. Gone are the days of discussion to try to figure it out. Nobody wants to figure it out anymore. Everybody just wants to be right. And that's, it all goes into, we are declining as a people. And it's partly because of the technology we have. It's partly because things that are being used to control people. It's partly because agenda driven. You can watch, and I'll say a show, you could watch Fox, and they are, if you're going there for a leftish opinion, you're not going to Fox, because Fox is agenda driven.
Yeah.
They tuck Trump in at night, every single night, and read them a little lullaby. Like they're, but I give them credit, they don't hide what they are. They're not really.
No, I mean, yeah, but to me, that just seems like, why would you? If you were going to hide that, be all in. Because, like, if you're going to be all in on that, everyone else that's all in on that is going to be right there. We are right there with Fox.
Yeah.
Right? If you try to be wishy-washy with it, then you're going to lose. It's like what do they say? If you try to appease everyone, you will appease no one, right? If you did this podcast and you tried to make this podcast, you wanted, what's your demographic? Everyone. There's no way. It's just too many people. You got to be niche. There's no way you're going to be entertaining to a 7-year-old girl and a 70-year-old man at the same time. There's just no way. There's no way. So you got to pick your lane. I think it was a smart business choice, and it's take a station that prides themselves on, supporting capitalism and Trump. Like, they're going to do whatever makes them more money. And I think that, that's why it's they don't need to hide it. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. You don't need to hide it. You could be like, yeah, sure. This news station is pro this guy, and we're not supposed to bring in politics and have the news station's not supposed to have a fucking opinion. You're supposed to report the news.
And that's it.
And they don't care. No, we know that it's going to be this way, and CNN knows it's going to be the other way. So it's like, oh shit, okay, so let me watch the news station. This is exactly, bro, goes back to Googling the fucking answer that I want. Let me Google why it's good for me to eat 5 grilled cheeses, because I bet you someone wrote a blog on the 5 grilled cheese a day diet and how much weight they lost. It's the same thing. It's, let me go watch Fox, because I already know that the news that they're going to report is going to vibe with how I feel. That's not growth. That's not learning. That's nothing. That's you going home at night and reading something and being like, I knew that this was the way it was supposed to be. Look, now I'm going to go to work tomorrow and I'm going to say everything that I learned on the news today. Like, come on. And the other guy is going to have the same conversation because CNN or whatever fucking news broadcast did the opposite story, or the same story with the opposite view. And then those two people are going to sit there and regurgitate shit that they fucking heard and did no research on whatsoever.
And that goes back to the rub. I mean, information is at people's fucking doorsteps at a level that it never was. And they refuse to do, because it's there, they refuse to do the extra step. They refuse to actually do the learning part of it. They just want somebody that, I know Fox is a piece of shit, but guess what? I'm a Trump supporter. That's home base.
Yeah, right. That's You have a whole news broadcast dedicated to share the same opinions that you do. Of course you're going to think you're right. Of course you're going to think you're right.
Forget that other states, forget that other countries are acknowledging things that are being acknowledged. They're with me. Like, it's so hard for people to admit any wrong.
No, you can't. You can't. People will say wrong things, and then they don't care what they look or like or say or do to just back themselves in a corner and defend that wrong opinion. And then I know people are going to hear that, and they're going to think, if it's an opinion, it can't be wrong. Sure it can.
Yeah,
sure
absolutely.
It can. Just because it's how you feel, it can be wrong. I don't care if you intrinsically just feel like other races or genders are inferior to you, and if that's just how you feel, that doesn't make it right. That's fucking wrong. Yeah. Right? Like, I hate when people say that. It's my opinion, so it can't be wrong. No, it can be.
Absolutely.
1,000% can be wrong, and not on a statistical level if it's right or wrong, fact or fiction. No, but it's wrong. It's wrong. Like ethically, it's wrong. That's wrong.
On a morale level,
you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's just wrong. Like, no, you're wrong. Don't feel that way. If that's your opinion, fucking change it. Don't just be, well, that's how I feel. Because like the amount of people that I get to, not arguments with, but just, and that's like their last. How many times have you gotten to a good conversation with someone and they have no way out and they go, well, it's just how I feel. Like, okay, all right. If it's just how you feel, we have to stop the conversation because I can't offend that.
And really, I can't wait. Like, when I get into a debate with somebody, half of me wants to, at the end of it, go, damn, you know what? You're on to something. Shit, you might have changed my mind. I might have just learned something I didn't know before based off of this back and forth. It's not that. It's, we be having talk right now. I'm talking. When I'm done talking, I'm now concentrating on the next part of my argument while you're talking. So gone is your opinion because I'm right. This is what it is. And while you're talking, I'm just going, oh, but wait till I hit him back with this.
Yeah, you're right.
There? I don't even know. But are you done talking? All right. And to further my explanation, this is why the sky is green. Like, yeah, no. Yeah.
And I used to do that, bro. Like, not for nothing. When I was younger, that's how I know I can vividly remember in my head having that internal monologue where literally the person's trying to tell me something. And in my head, I'm like, all right, this is what I'm going to hit him back with next. And so, and then you realize, like, I think doing the podcast is like really what got me away from that, because you actually have to fucking listen to what the other person's saying in order to maneuver the episode the right way. Right. So it's not, you never hit like a standstill. It needs to feel like a dance. It needs to feel like a conversation.
Absolutely.
So you have to actually learn how to interview people. And part of interviewing people is fucking listening. And you're right. You're spot on. It's like, and to go back to the other thing is, I'm in a part of my life now where I've always been an athlete. And I don't having this conversation with my athletes that I was coaching. It's just like, I don't do anything that doesn't scare me anymore. Right? Because what's the point, right? Like, someone was like, why don't you go do this? Why don't you run a marathon? I already ran one and I did it and it sucked. And I don't want to do it again. And that's all I wanted to did it. I completed it. I've done all these things. And I no longer do anything that, like, it has to just like make me a little bit afraid. Being wrong is one of those things. So like, yeah, if I do all my research, and I'm really on the hunt for the truth, and someone makes me feel a different way, I'm getting closer to the truth, not farther away from it. People think that when they're wrong, it's like a bad thing. Like, no, man, it's like, how many people get married to the first girl or guy or whoever that they date? It never happens. The reason that you date is to wean out that stuff, and then you find the person, right? It's the same thing with the answer to whatever problem you have. The more you bounce around and your opinion changes, people associate that with being wrong and a bad thing. It's an amazing thing. It means that you're getting there. It's like you're maneuvering through the bullshit. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And people, just like people associate failure with actually being a negative thing, right? No, man, failure gets you there. If anything that I've done that's worth even talking about, whether it be with fitness or it's just in my personal life, I've had so many failures doing that thing. That's how I get better at it, right? That's the quicker. I honestly think that the best way to get better at something is to seek out failure.
Yeah.
Right? Just keep doing it and like don't be afraid to fail. It's like